Wanted from Petacone box?
Oh yeah, I want PvP. So
No, absolutely don't do it. Now, I would love for them to put PvP in the game, but I am not optimistic that they will do it right. I mean, just look at the history of gacha games and even what a gacha game is. It does not mix well with PvP. It just turns into a pay to win F fest.
so
Thank you.
I think yes, dude.
Mhm.
Oh, thank yo, you actually agree with me? Like that?
No, I
Actually,
agree as well.
Yeah, I agree. I would love to see PvP, but they got to do it right, and I'll explain why. I without significant investment into the PvP mode, which will probably never have a return investment unless they go all in, which I'll explain that a little bit later too. It's not even worth it. There is more risk of ruining the game because I think the game is in a really good spot, has a good stance. There's a lot of people that put it in high regards. I mean, they are doing a lot of things right. PvP can turn that completely around. Um,
I
oh
agree.
shit,
Yeah,
bro.
too.
Volk is like the biggest host for the Honkai Star PvP. Of course he wants PvP.
I have no idea how.
and you know what? PvP. So I used to stream PvP exclusively on the other game, 70S. I used to play. Um, there's just not that there's not many PvP players compared to PvE players, probably in the history of gaming.
PvP, what in specific do you mean? Like what
Uh,
what do you want? If you were to give me specific for how you would want it to be implemented. Because I feel like a very important thing to do is when we ask for things is to clarify exactly how we would want it to be done. So
Yeah, I would agree with that. Again, especially with PvP because it is so hard. And I almost want to say impossible to balance it. So yeah, trying to specify, but you're going to get into the what is that rhythm? The child rhythm. The old lady that swallowed a fly, and then she had to swallow a spider because the fly fucked her up, and then had to swallow something else because the spider screwed her up, and just it never ends. It's a constant power creep, meta creep, and when you add gotcha onto it, it ends up becoming a pay to win game mode.
what did you have in mind?
I think they should have like a pretty similar strategy like Priden, how you can like like you could take specific Eladions or whatever to like balance out the scores and stuff like that.
So I'm not playing that game, so I can't really speak to that. But I mean, that's one thing that can help balance it. But there's a whole plethora of other things that need to be balanced. Like, what if you don't even have the characters, the limited characters, and then the meta is based off certain limited characters that free to plays can't even pull on?
So they could do that, or they could make it like a pay to win mess, which would also be fun. I just want
Oh no, no. That's exactly what I'm saying. That's what's going to screw the game up. It's going to end up being like every other gotcha PvP game, where it's just the pay to win giant mess, where the whales just raffle stomp the casuals and free to plays by basically clicking a button. So avid PvP players want competition, fair competition. They want their skills to excel over the other person, not their wallet.
to hop on stream and like have content ready to like play for like infinite content. Just
So I would agree with that. Again, I used to stream 7DS and it was exclusively PvP. Unfortunately, they limit the amount of PvP tickets you can do, which is really weird to me, but it does add a lot of content. Unfortunately, that game is pretty much dead.
more endgame essentially. So like ranking systems. Fuck, we could have like guilds too, man. Like
So yeah, it's kind of weird ranking systems. I never really cared for it. I know a lot of people love it, but it's just a way to flex. But again, in a gotcha game, you're flexing your wallet.
PvP would like you just like log in and you just like destroy a free to play player with like I don't know with seal. It just goes like 5 times in a row.
No, that's exactly what I said. That's what the whales want to do. That's all they want to do. And if that's going to be the game mode, it's not going to attract anyone. It's like, who's going to want to play that? Again, I played 7DS. I played that for 3.5 years. That's all the PvP game mode is. It is extremely crappy. And it's like, I would not want to see that in this game. And in fact, I would say I quit 7DS. I mean, I still log in once a week, but I quit the game when they right after they implemented their last version to try to fix the PvP problems, which not only did it not fix, but it exasperated the issues of pay to win.
You just like wipe the whole team like that.
Yeah,
I think it's just
my ass
fun.
beat. Yeah.
Casuals are pulling their fucking hair out right now listening to you say this.
He's 100% correct. 100%. Not just casual, but free to plays. But usually casual and free to play go hand in hand.
Yeah.
It sounds a lot like another game that I used to play a lot.
Wait, what's
that
that?
we talked about earlier. Kitchen Impact.
70.
There's a lot of people that were saying like, oh, dude, like Gacha needs like PvP. Gacha needs. Dude, I got fucking torn apart by the entire internet for making a video about how it could work and actually be free to play friendly.
I would actually love to see that because I don't think you can make a gacha PvP game free to play friendly.
Well, people
Because-
don't
Okay,
realize.
I would like to hear
is
how
impact
do you
players.
think Genshin could have PvP and work and be free to play? I would love to hear.
Dude, Tectone just asked this exact question I was just thinking.
So I think the way you do it is instead of like just like letting everyone use their account, they just create like not like the character trials that suck ass, but like they have like a team that's first off they fire the trial team, right? They get a new trial team that knows how to build characters. They have them get basically like a roster of characters for you to pick from that are all like trial characters, and you compete with those, and they have a
That seems, I mean, that's probably adds some balance. You know, it's equivalent to like Magic. You do sealed boxes where you just get what's ever in the box and you play off of that. There's still RNG aspect. There's still going to be meta teams, you know, and then again, if there's only one or two teams that's going to win, you don't have that team, you're pretty much guaranteed to lose. Is that really a fun game mode?
rotation, and they change every cycle.
Okay, and then
That'll
would you
work.
just put them in
And
an
it's-
arena and have them duke it out?
It's I was thinking time trials for Abyss. This
So,
is basically the
do you
most
mean,
fair way I
like-
can think of that.
So do you mean that kind of how like I'm an analogy a game nobody's fucking played? There was a game I used to play. It was called Skullgirls. It was a mobile gacha game, and like they had like this system of
Like Skullgirls? I might need to check that out. Just the name.
PvP like to level the playing field. Like they just had like pre-designated characters, like they were already built and everything.
Yeah,
You just
yeah,
mean, like,
that way it's not
basically-
like
yeah,
whales
like
just
sending people
beat everyone.
Yeah, sending people to just like knock each other's teeth out with like pre-built teams. So there's no like it's just a skill thing, right?
I don't believe
Yeah.
Skullgirls was a gacha game.
No, there's a mobile version, and the only reason I remember it is because the only time I've ever gotten lucky in my fucking life in a gacha game was on the Skullgirls mobile, and I got a character called Deathwish Umbrella who basically just turned the game to just skill because her ability was just removing other abilities. So if you were better, you won. If you were worse, you got your ass beat, and I loved her. She was my favorite character.
So Brax, you're saying that you would want a leaderboard
MTash.
type.
Oh,
content.
absolutely, a fucking leaderboard. I would love a leaderboard. I think a leaderboard. Okay, so here's the thing: people are afraid of a leaderboard because they don't want to look bad in front of other people. But I feel like you just do like I fucking hate Overwatch for this. I hate private profiles.
So I would say that's true, but like in my case, I don't like leaderboards because I just don't care. I really don't care. Again, it's a flexing. It's like I don't care where I fit, but I don't care about people trying to flex on me. You know, it's like who cares? You know.
But like, just do that. Just make it so you can turn it off. You don't want people to see your ranking.
That's very
Again, it's not about my ranking. It's like I don't care about these other people trying to flex on me.
true.
And then it's
That
like
is the
you don't have to worry
pussiest
about it.
shit I've ever heard of.
Say,
in my
let me be-
goddamn-
Humiliated.
Oh shit!
Publicly, please. I do that myself every day. Well, I don't see the difference.
Oh my god.
Have it off
bro.
by default, and then if people want to compete, they just flip it on, and then they go compete.
Yeah. You got it, Natasha?
Epic 7 has like a draft mode. So it's like you can choose between 5 different units. Well, so it's like each person gets a turn. So
So I've not
I
played
get a
Epic
turn
7.
and I can choose from 3 units.
But again, my main concern with all these, even a draft mode, is there's still RNG and meta teams.
And then they get a turn and they get to choose from 3 units. And so
And if you don't get the meta team, you're pretty much going to lose. It's still not competitive. It's more, I guess, RNG in this case.
I see what they pick, they see what I pick, and then you try to like kind of counter pick and you make a full team. So it'll give you like, you know, a tanky unit, a healer, and you kind of make it. And it's pretty cool because it's all balanced and they build the units. The only issue that I have, and
I don't know what he's going to say, but is he going to say what I just said? The kind of turns into a meta fest.
the reason I don't even play it is it's like, why the fuck am I building all my characters if I'm using these other ones. Like it feels
Actually, that is another good point, and that is another problem with 7DS. Again, 7DS, again, the game's been out for 4 years. There's so many characters, and like 90% of the characters are absolutely useless, and you would not build it except they added the constellation where now you get a buff based off your account. But if they didn't have that, there would be no purpose to leveling up these other characters.
just like, why am I putting in any effort into my own units if they have all this other stuff? And like, if the game mode is just fun and you know there's some rewards, that's really cool. But it's also
So yes, I would say cautiously the rewards. So this is one thing I hate too. Again, Gacha games all about time limited rewards. You know, daily logons. I'll use Tower Fantasy as an example here. Is they have so many rewards and different currencies in all the different game modes. All these like mini games, PvP. It's like you now have to do all the game modes if you want to stay relevant, or you're going to fall behind, and that could happen here as well too.
So it also sometimes then it just feels like a mini game. Like part of me wants to test out like, is my account better than yours, or like, can I beat you with my units, kind of thing. But then at the end of the day, you also have to think about this: are the characters in Honkai Star Rail deep enough to have PvP that's actually exciting?
No.
Very quick answer. Yeah, I would say no too. But just adding, for me in particular, I don't care. I know I'm probably the minority in this case. Most people like care. They're invested. That's why people like play these games. That's why Genshin's so popular. I don't care. I could care less. If I care, I like action. I like fast-paced movement games, skill-based games too. That's what I would be looking for.
Like think about what we've
I
got right
imagine
now.
whoever's faster just kind of wins in most scenarios. That's what
Yeah,
I
like
see.
Bronya-
That's every Gacha
in
game
the-
though. E7 has that issue. Summer's War
Oh
has
my
that
goodness!
issue.
Like
Speed
I'm
wins,
on the
whoever's first
same
wins.
exact page as
but-
Tectone here. Yeah, that's like every other game. 7DS too. Whoever goes first, and then they determine who goes first based off the team CC, the team power basically. And to get the best team power, a lot of it is associated with how much you spent in the game.
Besides,
the only thing though.
besides when Code made the tank meta for Epic 7. Sorry for cutting you off, Pash.
Oh, it's okay.
Yep.
See, the thing is though, is like if we start getting other stuff, so it's like if you use a non-attack skill, now my unit pops off and kills your highest DPS unit. Then I think we need some stuff there. Or like if you use a non-attack skill like a Bronya, now I get a 500 HP shield on everybody. Stuff like that. Like
Actually, that's really good. It's just hard to balance that because you're constantly swinging that pendulum left and right. So that means you need a dev team to constantly change the game, constantly develop the game, and it gets really expensive.
like more interactive stuff.
So I'll use example when I used PvP back in Rift. Wow, that was a long time ago. That pendulum swung hard left and right. I mean, you would play like a warrior class, it would be bottom tier, and then they would do an update, and then it was OP meta, and so on. It's like, so again, it's really hard to balance PvP.
But I just don't see that happening because then they'd also have to, like, those characters would have to make sense in PvE as well. And like,
Yeah, that's another point too. 7DS as well. So unless they entirely separate PvE and PvE, everything, the materials, the credits and all that, there's no correlation between the two. They have to look at the overall game economy on, okay, you only get so much energy, right, as a free to play player or even a light spender. Where are you going to focus on? More on PvE, more on PvP. In the case of like 7DS, the end game is PvP, but you have to build up your PvE to be able to PvP. That's the way they made it. So either it's going to be mixed or it's going to have to be entirely separated.
like what boss is not doing an attack skill ever?
M10.
You know what I mean?
And then trying to balance it between each other is going to be even more difficult. And in the case of 7DS, is they end up having like dedicated PvE units that do not even work in PvP. And you want to be able to use that unit in PvP, but you can't. It's a PvE unit.
What do
You're
you?
making good points. Go ahead, Brax.
Oh, I was gonna say, what do you think about like Gambit style?
What do you mean by that?
Not like, not
Oh, I
like,
see.
yeah. So not like you like raid that, but like they have a side of the field, you have a side of the field. There's a boss in the middle.
Mhm.
Whoever does more damage to the boss, you have to think about like who to attack, whether it's the other side or it's like the boss.
Mhm.
I've seen this type of game mode before. Again, but it still comes down to pay to win. Damage is based off how much you spent in the game. Again, if you take in Eidolon levels, even gear, and Light Cone as well, you know, it's going to be hard to remove the pay to win aspect to it.
I think that'd
Yeah,
be
so
a lot of
Gambit,
fun.
if you, do you know what
But then at
Gambit
that
is?
point, no, I'm sorry, go for it.
So Gambit is a Destiny game mode where it's like one team versus the other team, and you're shooting all the enemies, and you're getting points for doing that. And so it's like PvE killing everything, but you can also invade the other team and like kill them to like reduce their points. And so it's kind of a mixture of the.
Oh, the game I was thinking of was Ion, where I forgot what the game mode was, but you would go to an area and each team would start on one side. You would go, and the final thing was to kill all the PvE units to get a score and then kill the boss. Or another strategy was just go kill the other team, and then all the PvE units were yours.
Of the two. So it'd be PvP, but like you'd be fighting enemies and like prioritizing getting as many points as possible, I guess.
The problem with that is that Destiny fucking sucks.
Oh my god, it's hilarious.
Good, true, good point.
I want to
True,
chime
my
in
bad,
here
my bad.
because right now, PvP is the easiest probably category in gaming to scrutinize.
It is. I'd agree with that.
When you scrutinize PvP, you know, by definition, you go into this negative mindset. You're constantly picking out all the negative things to make this idea seem like a horrible idea. But
Well, it depends. So yes, and also a little bit no, because there's a long history of PvP in games, and especially gacha games. And again, no one has been truly successful with it. So it's, you know, when you get burnt so many times, you're cautiously, you know, you don't want to get burnt again. At least that's how I feel about it.
But in order to make a good idea, it is necessary to scrutinize it. And I think MTash is making viable, you know, points to make PvP a better. He's pointing out all the flaws, but that doesn't mean you ditch the idea, relinquish it, and throw it in the trash. You constantly improve upon that. And once you do all the scrutiny, then you have a PvP mode that could possibly work. But to say like,
So I would agree with that with the caveat. I would say that's really up to the devs. How much are the devs going to invest in it? The player base, I mean, it can go both ways. Again, like I would really love to see PvP in this game. It's just I'm pretty much know if Hoyoverse does not fully go all in on that, it's going to be a crap show.
that's not going to work without it even you even trying it at first.
Yeah, see, for me, because I've tried it in many other games, I would rather not than put it in because it's going to ruin the game experience than them to come out with some better. Or maybe they can come up with some beta and bring in a whole bunch of people to play the beta, test out the beta, and make it a community thing where then if a large majority of people agree to it, then incorporate a game. But I don't think they should bring it in and piecemeal it in because it's going to have more negative effects than positive.
It's just like the worst way to kill an idea. That's all I'm saying.
Oh yeah, I have a
Yeah.
question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh yeah, what does scrutinize mean?
Scrutinize means to like
It's
look at
put
something
on
and just
blast.
really like micro
Pick it apart. Pick it
Yeah.
apart. What's wrong with it?
Oh, okay.
And once you find out all the things that are wrong with it, well, now you can actually build an idea that's more solid.
It's like
Yeah,
it's
you
like
look
when your
up
parents come into your
scrutinize
room.
on Urban Dictionary. It's a picture of the Twitter comment section. That's the best way to
Yeah.
describe it.
it's like when your parents come
Oh
into your
crap!
room box and like, oh look at you, always playing the video
Or Reddit,
games. What's wrong
or Reddit goes to an entirely different level.
with your hair? You're wearing those earrings again. How are you
Yo,
trying
yo,
to
I'm
make
making
money from it now, huh?
Kid.
Hold on,
Swear.
hold on. Yo, at least I could grow my fucking hair out.
Oh,
man.
dude, what is going on?
Holy crap! Shots fired.
Yeah.
You don't talk to him like that.
Asshole, dude.
I wasn't. I think you look beautiful, man. I think. You look
Oh,
great.
thank you, thank you,
Okay,
thank you.
All right, Tectone, you could fend off the bald allegations. Take a penny, put it on top of your head, and like zoom in on the camera. If you
True.
got hair there, your chat has to shut the fuck up.
Oh no, I have hair. I do have hair on
There
my
you
head.
go.
I just,
There you
I'm
go.
just shaved.
This-
Now I will say this because I don't want to leave people. Sorry, go ahead, Vulcan. What are you saying?
I was just said with the PvP thing, because this is something I've thought about a lot. Because I said this from before Star Rail started, that I just want PvP because it's endless end game to keep farming and have a reason. Like I don't even like.
So again, I would say, generally speaking, I would say yes, but not really, because it becomes so monotone, so simplified, so static. Even if they add changes, it's the same thing. Again, I'm going to use 7DS as the example. The game's been out for 4 years now, a little over 4 years, and the PvP really hasn't changed since the very beginning. They added a few things, so technically it is unlimited end game content, but it's the same crap over and over and over again.
I farm, but not too hard anymore. Like they introduced MOC 12. I've still only got Clara, Blade, and QQ as my DPS, but I can still walk in and 3-star it. So like the need to farm isn't there, whereas PvP gives endless endgame. And I think there are ways you can balance it. I think what MTash said about having pick and ban systems balances it out, because you don't have straight meta teams you can build. It was the same in you.
Yeah, I mean, if they can do that, but this is where I'm pessimistic. I don't know how, not just them, how anyone can do that. That is the main problem with PvP games, is balance. So you have to rotate it. You have to try to shift the meta, but that's going to require devs to do that.
You probably played it in Summoner's War when they introduced real-time arena, where normal arena was always just speed meta. You use your Tiana Zeros, you win. But then they introduce real-time arena with pick and ban. You can't do speed cleave anymore because you get one part of your team picked out. And
so I've not played that game, but again, related to 7DS, that's just the meta shift. Like one time the meta is ult rush, the next meta is it could be evade or something like, I don't know, but the meta constantly shifts. It ends up just not being fun. You're just chasing meta all the time.
And you don't have the pieces you need to do that. And with the speed thing, because it's always an issue, speed is always an issue in these types of games. I've always had this thought of, why doesn't a game try doing, okay, fastest goes first, but then at the...
No, it shouldn't even be that. Again, use 7DS as a reference. It should be flip a coin goes first, just random RNG. It shouldn't be anything on the account at all, because that's going to lead to some type of pay to win mechanic.
The start of battle, after the fastest character goes, the other player's fastest character gets a turn outside of speed rankings. Because then you have disruption. It's like, but then it just goes back to speed order. But then you have one turn of disruption in there at the start of the battle. So it completely disincentivizes that complete speed cleave type idea.
So basically,
I mean, if they can balance it, that is good. Again, I don't think they can truly balance it.
I think there is things you can do.
So basically, so first, so you got a character 144 on one team, like the other's got like 80. So it doesn't matter. Like this guy's gonna go first, and the other team's gonna go first. And like at that point, you have like the ability. Okay, well, I'm slow as shit, so I'm a speed debuff and maybe level the playing field kind of situation.
So yeah, I mean, again, if they can balance it, but again, I'll show or use 7DS as an example, is the person that goes first. Usually, with the exception of the Demon King meta, that kind of changed it a little bit, but the big whale that comes in and goes first pretty much annihilates either your entire team or takes out your team or damages your team to the point where you cannot recover, and it's game over before you even started.
So like my thought is like, okay, fastest character among all characters in 180 speed. That character goes first regardless. Then the other player has like a 150, 140, 130, 120 speed. Their 150 is the fastest. Even if the other player's second fastest is 160, the player 2 who hasn't had a turn yet, their fastest unit goes as a disruption turn.
I think that Gacha PvP...
that actually gives people a chance.
Gacha PvP is a fucking joke. It should not be balanced.
100% agree.
And whoever spent the most money should win.
Dude, he hit it. He hit the nail on the bald head. He's absolutely correct. Gacha and PvP just does not mix. It always comes down to who spent the most money. Now, here's where I want to say, it doesn't mean it has to be that way. Now, I'm trying to look at it from the business side, the company side. if anyone can make a PvP gacha game work, it is Hoyoverse, because I mean they're the top company. They got both Genshin and Honkai Star Rail, up there. And they're making the most money out of any company out there. And I would say, despite what probably some people say, so I've not really played Genshin that much, but Honkai Star Rail, you can tell they are very calculated with what they are doing. They know what they're doing. Whether you agree with it or not, there's some things they probably dropped the ball on, but overall, they know what they're doing. I am actually confident that if they really wanted to make a good PvP system, they could. They would have to invest in it. They would have to make a business case to see what their return investment is going to be. It's probably going to take a couple years because, again, majority of players, and I'm going to say players in this genre in particular, this anime, fantasy, RPG, MMO type thing, are more PvE players, and the very thought of PvP just turns them off, and it's not going to attract as many people because there's PvP compared to PvE. So they have to take all that into account, and then what are they going to lose because they're PvP? If they put any like special gear or say cosmetics that are PvP only, that's going to piss off the PvP people, right? So they have to balance all of that. And then how much money they are going to make off. Now, they actually, if they didn't, I do believe they could do it if they wanted to. They could probably make a killing off of this if they did like collabs, even with their own games between Genshin and Honkai Star Rail, and then even build collabs to other, anime, either games or actually manga series. They are the leaders in this space. They can make it happen, and that would attract so many people if they make PvP, again, without getting the balancing issues. They can add so many things just to make it fun and not really competitive, again, to attract those PvE players that don't mind dabbling into it that much but don't want to be all sweaty and hardcore into it. In addition, I would say they should also focus on esports. As much as you don't like esports, that will get the true competitive nature into here. That the esports could probably fund the PvP development for the rest of the game so they can have different game modes. And again, if anyone can do it, they can do it, but it's going to take some investment. It's going to be a little bit risky on their part. They're already at the top. So, from their perspective, if I was in their shoes, it'd be like, why would I do it? Because we're already up there. We can make a little bit more money, but it's going to cost a lot of money, and it's not really, is it going to help the game? I don't know. So I don't know. We'll see.
And I just feel like that's how it is.
Is this the Genshin Tectone I'm talking to right now?
No, I'm just saying, let's be real. Are we really trying to balance a game mode where whoever spends $1 million doesn't win? I mean, just come on, man.
Yeah. Well, if
the
you're
guy
going,
spent $1 million, let him
I
win.
think it should be two versions. One is just here's a balanced version. The other is we're throwing you to the fucking dogs, and if you didn't spend money, you're dead.
Yeah, they do have.
Seven Deadly Sins kind of have that too. They have geared and ungeared PvP.
Yeah.
Okay, hold on. I need to comment on this because I played Seven Deadly Sins for over 3.5 years. So yes, they have a geared and ungeared PvP, but they are so completely pay to win in their own different aspects. And again, there is no such thing as truly unbalanced unless you're going to give everything to everyone. So everyone has access to every limited character, every skill, everything is open. But even then, it's still got to be fun because again, use Tower Fantasy, there was you still had to own the character, but everything was normalized, all the skill, all the damage, and then there still became just meta team. So that normalized PvP was not fun. No one played that part. Out of the 10 people that played the entire game, no one played PvP. Okay, so now 7DS. Okay. I'll try to keep this one short. Yeah, there's two different game modes. One is geared, one is ungeared. The geared is supposed to be more pay to win, but it's actually the ungeared that is more pay to win because you have cosmetics, and those cosmetics are locked behind a paywall. So it kind of helps separate the two, but it doesn't put it in a completely different class between free to plays and pay to play players.
Which
that
is
is
interesting.
exactly.
Oh, and then I'll add the new PvP game mode that they tried to do was they created, or you had points, and the more meta or used characters would have higher points. So you can only spend so many points per team. Really great idea and concept, but it completely flopped because again that built out the meta, and if you didn't have those characters and the only way to get those characters is to spend, well, you couldn't even compete at that time.
That is actually exactly what the Skullgirls mobile game did. Like on one side, there was two versions of PvP. One version was you can just use whoever the fuck you pull. The other version here is just balance. It's all skill. You go in here, you're gonna get fucking destroyed.
So I do want to check this game out. Is it truly all skill? I'm very skeptical, but I don't know anything about the game.
It's going to happen.
Dice it
But
to
you know,
see
if
who
you come
goes
over
Because if it's truly skill, again, I come from a long PvP background. I have a lot of friends. We solely did nothing for years other than play PvP games. And we kind of got burnt out because there was no good PvP game out there that was truly balanced.
over here, if you spend more money, these children won't stand a chance. It was that kind of situation. But then the problem becomes you have a divide in the players. So then you have to
What's
you know,
up,
you have
Dash?
that
What is it? Why is it an issue losing to people who spent more money if you can have fun in the game mode?
Well, no one likes to lose, whether it's free to play. No one likes to lose. So if you're playing the game mode and all you do is get stomped on, that's not fun.
I will million percent agree.
I'd say the
Unless you like getting stomped on. There are some people out there like that.
issue
losing
isn't
isn't fun.
necessarily losing to people with more money. It's being fucking destroyed by people with more money.
Exactly.
Because like it's one thing. It's like, oh,
Everyone wants a competitive battle. They want to see like back and forth, not where as soon as you come in, it's already determined who the winner is because one person paid more than the other.
well, this guy spent thousands of dollars, but you know, me with my peasant cash in my fucking food stamps, at least I was able to take out one of them.
So go ahead and
I
test.
see somebody raising their hand. But then
The
like
other
the
thing-
other guy,
One second, so
like,
what
the
are you
other
saying,
guy
Tess?
is just like, okay, well I'm dead.
So hold
Like
up.
there's no fun
So hold
dying.
up. So hold up. Yeah, Tess, what are you trying to say?
The other, I just thought of this too. Is like they had that kind of Pokemon event. What was it called? Aether.
Yeah,
what
yeah,
is it?
Aether
What is
Wars.
it? I mean, something like that could kind of work, where it's like
So, yeah, I kind of want to comment on this previously because I know it was brought up. This would be a good PvP mode, and it probably would. But I can see that turning into a meta mode. So another PvP game I played was Guild Wars 1 and 2, mostly 2 for the PvP and the WVW, World vs. World PvP, and then you go to solo PvP or even team-based PvP. And Guild Wars is called Build Wars because again, it's certain builds that are stronger than the others. They did kind of go with like a rock paper scissors method, so that was kind of good. But it's like if you went up against a rock and you were scissors, you lost. It had nothing to do with skill, and I can kind of see that with the Ethereum Wars.
you've got the units and you can put on X amount of buffs, but it essentially is balanced. Like I can imagine it would be a lot of fun if they allowed PvP in that.
Yep.
You could have made tons of different teams with that, and kind of counterpicked with that. Like
Yeah.
they probably already have the tools to do it, but
Yeah.
I don't know.
Box, what were you trying to say?
Look at the comment. Oh, imagine PvP without any skill.
Oh shit! I was just mimicking MTash, to be honest, but I do have
Okay,
something
cool.
to say. I think that they can make PvP balanced, but they have to add like.
I don't think they can. But again, I'm a little jaded because got burnt out on so many games, wishing for games to have more balanced PvP. But I have not seen. I've seen some games come pretty close. They're usually the esport games, but there's other problems with the game that makes it just not really enjoyable.
Like more skills, man, because you can't really outthink like your opponent. I don't know why. I always
No.
thought this was really stupid from Starro, like being a turn-based game and not having like that many options to,
guard.
yeah, you know what I'm saying.
I don't know. It's back and forth. I mean, sometimes I like to see extra skills. I want to do extra things. Like, man, sometimes I actually wouldn't mind like having an open world, just more run around it. But the game is geared towards a casual player base. It's a very casual turn-based game. And like for me right now, I'm not investing that much time into the game. I'm mostly playing it on a train going to and from work. So I actually don't mind the simplicity of the game.
and like
Turn skip. Yeah.
yeah, pretty much, bro. So I think that they need more skills. I know it's like pretty much impossible. Like Genshin's been like 3 years now, and they only have like an ult and an auto attack and like an E. So
As soon as you mention that, though, that's kind of genius because it makes me think about League of Legends when you have that one hyper
Yes.
carry who's just super fucking fed, but they still end up losing the game because it's so League of Legends is such a multifaceted and complex game that even if you have that hyper carry that's fed, which I guess you could correlate to a whale, right? That the hyper carry would be the whale that's fed. They still lost the game because the game is so complex. Does that make
right,
sense?
right, yeah, yeah.
I,
So
I think I see what you mean there.
Yeah, okay.
So yeah, I mean, yes and no. You don't want to make it overly complex. There's just so many drawbacks. There's pros and cons to everything, but the more complex you're going to lose more the player base. So again, remember the player base for Honkai Star Rail is definitely not like extremely competitive. It is a very simple, easy game, and then by making it more difficult, we're probably going to lose a lot of the casual players.
I also, Bug, do you have anything to say? Or are you just being cute with your hand?
No. Yeah, I actually have something to say.
Okay, go ahead.
No. Okay, to be like, I think in my opinion, to the easiest way to actually make a PvP happen, I don't think Honkai Star Rail ever had the intention to make player versus player, like straight up like 4v4, because we don't even have
Yeah, I agree with that. The game's just not designed for PvP.
like toughness bar on our own units.
Mhm.
So that's gonna be like a complete new thing to have to balance. And how are we gonna like balance our weaknesses and all that kind of stuff, right? So I think if PvP were to ever happen, it's either going to be like a single solo boss and then just see who deals the most amount of points. So it's like a leaderboard, right? Then see who does the most amount. Infinite HP, then just see who goes. Or like the current Pride Win PvP format. You just have it in Memory of Chaos with bans and picks and then see who gets the lower cycles. I think that is the most realistic form of PvP.
He's not wrong, but it's not really PvP. That's really stretching the definition of PvP.
Without having like a player versus player.
Oh no,
Yeah,
I
you said it right
I 1,000,000% agree with you. I think leaderboard's the way to go for that. I am, this might be surprising, I am under the opinion that I would not like PvP in the game. I don't think that we need it at all. I would really like for, at least not soon. I don't think they're ready.
And again, I completely agree with them.
I think they should really just focus on making this game PvEs and story and characters very like the lore very like very deep.
I unfortunately agree with them because I don't like story, but that's what attracts the people and makes the game better and makes money for the game. For me, that's one of those things, I can just deal with it, but I think for majority of the players, that's what they're looking for.
And getting people invested in the story, because that is where the majority of the money is. And also, the big thing is that I think the PvP would absolutely suck fucking dick, because there's just not
Yes, agree again.
enough characters yet.
Oh no, I don't. Not that I disagree, but I don't think that's really the reason why. I think just because they're not going to be able to balance it, even if they had the characters. Like I'll use 7DS as the example, has so many characters, but 90% of them are irrelevant because they're not meta. It's only going to focus on the meta, so we probably don't have enough characters to carry a couple meta teams, but again, it's always going to come down where there's maybe one or two meta teams that everyone's playing with, and if you don't, you're pretty much going to get stomped.
There's very little games where, I mean, how many do we have? Like less than 30 characters. It would just be, the meta would be found instantly. Everybody would be running the same shit.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's going to happen regardless. You have 100 characters or 15 characters.
And that issue can probably be circumvented because we have been getting 2 new characters every patch from the beginning of the game, and I believe we will also be getting 2 new characters every patch for the entirety of Pentaconi as well, which I believe was already revealed via leaks 223, 5 stars and 4 stars.
Yeah, rip my wallet. That's a lot of characters.
I do think the game could be setting up for PvP in the future.
It could. Again, they would still have to do some significant investment into the game and make a business decision whether it's worth the risk of tarnishing the game versus implementing a mode that, again, majority of the player base doesn't really care for or doesn't want.
But I mean, let's be real. I mean, what turn-based RPG has PvP against other players with unit combat with a pool of less than 30 characters? I don't really think that there's that many, at least not any successful, to my knowledge. Summoner's War has 480, 500 characters. Epic 7, same deal. A fucking ridiculous amount. I just don't think the depth would be there yet. I don't think the game's ready for PvP yet, and I think it would be lackluster. But I do think leaderboard is the only way to go for it, in my opinion.
The lack of characters is a good point and something I didn't consider. That's true. But I will say no other fucking game out there that I know of in this space is releasing characters the way Honkai Star Rail is either.
Absolutely.
7DS is releasing. They release a character every 2 weeks. So it's somewhat on pace, and then they do collabs every now and then. So it's similar.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
I mean,
Yeah,
2
they would
new
have
5-stars
to.
and a 4-star. I am worried about that long term because
And short term, because there's a lot of freaking money.
I feel like that is going to dilute the story and who we want to see in the game very, very heavily. Now, I do like what they're doing for certain characters where you like meet Xingqia and she's like, oh, this character gambles. And there she goes, gone.
She's a goblin.
Yeah, exactly.
Love her.
I already know. Well, I don't know this, but I'm speculating. I don't think we're going to see, for example, my favorite character is Kafka. Okay, we all probably know that I got bare ass naked on stream.
Oh,
myself for it.
really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
And
That's crazy, dude.
I don't think we're going to be seeing any of her and Panacone. And that to me,
He's probably right, and that sucks. That sucks. She never like truly shined like Jing Lu or Dan Heng. They need more dot characters in the game.
to me is going to drive me fucking nuts. That fucking blows. And I haven't seen any spoilers. Maybe we see her, maybe we don't. But I am genuinely worried about making that many characters and diluting the story and I guess diluting the main dynamic of the cast. I also think that Don Hung is done. Yeah, go ahead, Amtesh.
I think a great example of that is, and maybe you don't agree,
Yeah.
the Sumeru story was fucking awful because it was just like, Dia's here, and now Candace is here. Like, I literally...
Okay, for a second, I thought he was talking about some type of the Sumerians, because I didn't play Genshin. He says Sumeru. I'm assuming that's Genshin, but anyways, I think that's the end of the PvP conversation. Again, this podcast is a little over 3 hours long. I just wanted to comment on the PvP, my I guess reaction to it. Again, just summarize it. I would love to see PvP in the games. Just I don't think they will do it correctly without significant investment, and I don't think it's in their best interest to put that much investment into a game mode that's not really going to attract the majority of the player base. I do think they could make it very successful. Again, going all the way to like building out an esport category between these games, setting up collabs with other games, other animes or mangas. If anyone can do it, they can do it. It's just I don't think they're going to do it. So anything short of that, I think would pretty much be a flop. So anyways, that's it for me. This went way long. I usually don't make this type of content, but I wanted to comment on this. I think these podcasts are great. I love seeing all the content creators talking about the game because it just shows they do care about the game. It is a good game, and hopefully, you guys feel the same way too. So anyways, that's it for me. Thanks for watching. See you on the next one.